Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And oh, how wonderful it must be Humza Yousaf, to live in a little world of your own self-delusion, where facts are not real, and where the harsh realities of life do not impinge upon the day-to-day reality which most people have to endure after 17 years of SNP rule. He even deludes himself enough to not recognise, in his words, the £107 million black hole in Glasgow's budget. A black hole created by his insistence on a council tax freeze, which, incidentally, Glasgow voted for yesterday and said they're going to go ahead and that there will be no increase. They're just going to cut services, presumably the ones to the most vulnerable, because that's how the SNP roll. And so he sits back, astonished that people aren't praising him for his leadership and vision, and he doesn't see the problems and the awfulness that his stupidity and his lack of clarity have brought. Let's take a look. So, out of touch Humza Yousaf claims he doesn't recognise Glasgow's £107 million black hole in an astonishing comment. Well, if he doesn't recognise it, he needs to be introduced to it very, very quickly and to get a grip with it, because it's a reality and services will be cut. They voted, they agreed with it, they said, oh no, we're going to do it because we're an SNP council, and they don't care who is going to suffer. Now, COSLA themselves have said that they want that 144 million or whatever it is that Shona Robinson wanted to give them, and they said, don't threaten us, we're going to take that money, thank you very much, and we're going to give a 5% rise across the board. That seems to be the general consensus from COSLA. But obviously Glasgow have said, no, we're rejecting it, but that's fine. People of Glasgow, that's fine. If you want all those services cut, you have got it. That's fine. You voted these people in, and you're going to have to suffer the consequences. But anyway, the First Minister disputed the SNP-led Glasgow City Council's budget black hole, as he insisted that the council tax freeze will help everyone. It will help nobody. The only people that are really pleased with it are those in those big houses, the rich that have got those huge houses that won't have to pay extra council tax this year. The people who won't help are everyone who needs any kind of help from the council, anyone who uses council services, and everyone next year when that money that they're putting in this year won't be there, and so next year they're going to have to put it up, the 147 or whatever money this year's cover, and next year's rise. So next year you're getting a double rise. Super. Tell me, how does that help anyone? The man has no grasp of even simple economics. So it's not wondrous that he doesn't recognise these things. It's astonishing that he doesn't. Hapless Humza Yousaf has been labelled out of touch after astonishingly disputing the nationalist-run council's estimated £107 million budget black hole. He was forced to defend his controversial council tax freeze, as he insisted that his government did fully fund it. Well, if they did, then you wouldn't be having the problem you're having with COSLA and the destruction of the Verity House agreement. But you are having a problem with COSLA. You are watching the Verity House agreement fall apart because you aren't obeying by it. And nobody called for a council tax freeze. It was Humza Yousaf and a desperate cry for help with a really crappy speech at conference. It was announced and nobody knew about it. This is a guy that stood there and went, what sounds good? Have you worked it out? No. Do you know where it's costed? No. How are you going to fund it? Don't know. Will it please the councils? No. Will it please the people who will have to face a double rise next year? No. Will it please the people who use the council services and have them cut? No. Why have you done it? I'm an idiot. Literally that. Anyway, the oblivious First Minister also bemoaned the likes of nurses, teachers and police officers complaining to him about the cost of living crisis, despite him raiding their pockets through his tax policy outlined in the budget. The refusal to increase the salary threshold for the 42p higher rate at £43,666, in line with inflation means that middle income workers will face paying more tax through fiscal drag when they get their pay rises in April. But it was Mr. Yousaf's comments about Glasgow City Council's expected budget black hole which has raised eyebrows. The guy lives in a world where facts and reality do not matter, where these things are just out there. He doesn't understand them. Of course, he's paid an awful lot of money. He lives a life of privilege. For him, his insulation is so far removed from the harsh realities of life that he doesn't see the actions of what his policies are doing. He doesn't see the scrimping, the saving, the cutting down on food for your children. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see the people sitting there dying of cancer because they can't get into a hospital. He doesn't see that because he's got Bupa. He doesn't see old people choosing between eating and heating because he's sitting there quaffing his caviar in his very large, very warm house. He needs to be educated. He needs to face poverty. He needs to see that what he does harms people. Finance chiefs confirmed last week that the cash-strapped council, this is Glasgow City Council, is facing a huge £107 million deficit in the next 3 years. Now, if he wanted to sort that out and go, okay, we'll freeze council tax, he would have to give Glasgow £107 million. But wait, Shona Robinson has given the whole of Scotland, and not every council, £144 million. Not each, the total budget. And so the vast proportion of that will be eaten by one single budget, by one single council. And this is why I say this 144 that she's given them needs to be around £1 billion if she's going to say that they've fully funded it. But when he's sitting there at the speech in conference, he hadn't worked out how much it was. He didn't know it was going to be £1 billion. But why should he? He doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. Anyway, finance chiefs did this, the 100 seller. Yousaf completely disputed the figure. He said he didn't recognise that figure during a chat with the Glasgow Times. Well, just because you're too stupid to recognise something doesn't make it wrong. Let me introduce you to it. Here's the £107 million black hole, Mr. Yousaf. How are you going to sort it out? He added, well, we'll obviously have a discussion with Glasgow, and I meet with Glasgow City Council, as you can imagine, with some regularity. First and foremost, of course, we've all been hit by a significant cost of living crisis. And then you can put the brackets in there, caused by my party. He said, where energy prices have gone up, and the council's energy bills have gone up, inflation has gone up, and the council, I'm afraid, is not immune to that. Actually, inflation has gone down. The rate of inflation has decreased from last year to this year. So I think you understand how that works. In typical SNP style, he blamed Westminster for his government's chronic underfunding of councils. Well, that's strange, because actually you were given more money this year in total than you were at any point ever in history. It's just you're the one choosing to blow the money on all the wasteful things, like spin doctors, like foreign embassies, like huge departments that don't have anything to do within government, like giving all that money to foreign countries. Perhaps you'd have more money for people of Scotland if you weren't spending it abroad on people in your gang. How was your holiday in Qatar, by the way? Did you speak to Hamas once or twice? How many of them did you invite over? Anyway, he said, it's not in my gift about energy bills and inflation. He said, this is a direct result of economic mismanagement from the Conservative UK government. Actually, it's not. The inflation was worldwide, and the energy cost was all to do with Russia invading the Ukraine. I think at no point had the Conservative government got anything to do with that. He tried to defend his council tax freeze by comparing it to the cost of living crisis and insisted it was being done to protect Scots from tax rises. Yes, we're protecting Scots from tax rises. And how are you doing that, Mr. Yousaf? We're putting taxes up. Good job. Anyway, he says, I don't want any person living in any local authority having to pay an increase in the bills by 10, 15 or 20%. Well, that's strange, because you're putting the council tax up, you're putting the income tax up for some by 10%. Depending on where you are on the line, some people will start paying a lot more in income tax. The first bit said, come into my constituency office, sit down with me when I do my constituency surgeries, and you'll see that people are not just on the lowest incomes, but on above average incomes that are coming in and asking for support. So you're proud of the fact that even people on a good wage now can't afford to live in Scotland because of your policies. How marvellous. How wonderful you are. And you say you're not out of touch. My God, that man's living in cloud cuckoo land, isn't he? What an arse. And of course, it's the people who vote SNP that are causing this. And so they must love poverty. They must love misery. They must love having their services cut. Otherwise, they wouldn't vote for him. So they're, turkeys voting for Christmas. Coming up. You have to wonder what he's on. He's certainly not living in the real world. He must be on some kind of psychedelic trip. To not recognise that his policies are causing harm must either mean he does know and he doesn't care, or he's truly, truly delusional. And either way, he's unfit for office. And it's time to move him, to shove him out, and to replace him with someone who is aware of the policies and is aware of the harm they're causing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll stop there. If you do like what you see and hear on the channel, do hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.